2026. And welcome to the May meeting of the Connecticut Real Estate Appraisal Commission. We review the minutes of the 8th of April of 2026. Members of the commission or staff, are there any edits, revisions, changes, and so forth as what was presented?
Vicky, are there any changes or
No,
edits?
Paul is here. No, I think Paul is here to clarify anything that I may have stated on behalf of the department, the legal
Okay.
department. So no. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Norris has made a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second call for a second. Third call for a second.
I'll second the motion.
Miss
Sorry, my mic.
Bob,
my mic was
okay.
on. Yeah.
Ayes? All right, let me
Aye.
say this. It's been
Aye.
quiet. Any discussion by members of the commission on these? Hearing none. Ayes?
Hold on, Chair.
Aye.
Aye.
Hang on. Yes, John?
I don't think the comments or concerns of any person present fully reflect what we discussed. I just want to throw that comment out there. So I'm gonna just abstain from voting on it.
Okay, so ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
nays, abstention. So John, you're abstaining. Okay, and we move forward. Okay. Okay, I'm going out of order. I want to take care of the courses in the review. You can see what's presented, a heavy load by the Appraisal Institute and some e-learning and the Mass folks and the Connecticut Association of Assessors and so forth. Are there any concerns or issues that need to be flagged at this moment as what has been presented?
I got one. Bob, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I just, about the Yukon workshop conference. I know you're teaching one of the sessions there, John, so maybe you can provide some insight, but it just seems so geared toward assessors, the whole thing. I just wondering how much appraisal related matter is really in there.
We usually only appraise 1 or 2 days, Bob, but I think what CAAO has gotten into the habit of doing has just been uploading the entire conference because it's easier.
Okay.
I don't think there's an expectation that the commission would approve the full week. For instance, Monday, those are all appraisers that are going to be, Monday is typically our Walter Brick Day, excuse me. That's normally geared towards appraisers. And then the only other one that could potentially would be Wednesday, in my view, with Edie McCarthy. I don't know that Edie McCarthy is a certified appraiser, though. I'd have to look back at her credentials.
So you feel the 18 hours that are being requested are justified?
I would say that Monday I definitely feel would be justified. And then potentially Wednesday would be the 2 days, in my opinion, that are appraisal geared.
How many hours would that be, Jen, if you were to combine both together?
I think 12. I think it's 6 per day.
Okay.
I'm trying to look at the schedule really quick, so bear with me. 9 to 12, so 3:15. It's typically meant to be 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon.
Yes, okay. So you're looking at potential of 12, what we're looking at. Did I hear you correctly?
Correct. I mean, I think Monday, we have appraisers largely doing all of the presentations on the different types of properties. And I was just trying to pull up Edie's bio for Wednesday.
While you're doing that, John, you had a question on one? Jen, keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Just
Sure.
trying to be.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Jen. So on my talk was supposed to be on the self-storage industry. I didn't look at this until last night and found out that I was talking about something a little bit different. So I just want to amend that to say that I'm going to be talking about the my portion is going to be on the self-storage industry, not so much conversions. I'm going to touch on conversions, but that's not
Yes,
the whole
right.
topic.
Yep.
Jen, what would you say? You think we're good at 12, 9, 10? What are we looking at?
I would personally be comfortable with 12. I know that the commission has has made a lot of good points that there should be a certified appraiser to answer questions for the educational content that we approve. That's why I was trying to find Edie's bio, because I'm just not 100% sure whether or not
Okay.
she's only certified as an assessor. She does a lot of teaching for the International Association of Assessing Officers. She is an instructor for IAAO for their classes. But I'm
Yeah,
not
so
sure if she has an appraisal license.
But there's
But I
going to
think-
be, many of the assessors have appraisal licenses, so we have them in attendance.
Yeah,
You
so
do,
they
yep.
don't forget they're also have assessor's license, so this class goes for that too.
Yep.
A different
Yes.
thing. But I'm going to suggest that we approve it. If we're just going to give 12 hours, that we do 6 hours for Monday and then 6 hours for Wednesday, because there's going to be people that are who can't take that. Plus, I want to stay for the whole Monday, and I know there's other appraisers. So if you approve it for 12 and we're only there for half, we can't apply.
Well,
I
they
know
do it
that-
by session, John. We've been through that. You get the 3-hour morning. You
Right.
sign in and you sign out. You sign in and you
All right,
sign out for
all
the
right.
afternoon.
That's
So the
fine.
total, if they made everything, was 12, is what we're saying. Because their program's 27 hours, and and then we had knocked it down to 18. Now we're knocking it down to 12.
3 hours per session.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So somebody takes one session, they can apply.
For the hours of 3 hours of the morning. I'm just using the morning session. And if you put them to sleep in the afternoon, as long as they sign in and sign out and, they're learning about, self-storage and what to do and don't, they get
Well, the
another 3
afternoon
hours.
is good. They'll be in last is good because they're waking up because they want to go home. They don't want to
There you
fall
go.
asleep in there.
There you go.
Okay. Any other edits to what was presented? Can I get a
No,
motion to,
my view
okay,
was
go ahead,
Monday and
Jen.
Wednesday. Sorry, Jerry. Nope, my view was that Monday and Wednesday would be the ones that the commission would most be likely to approve. As I said, Edie teaches, she's a partner in team consulting. She's a certified IAAO instructor. And she teaches a lot of appraisal and assessment courses across the country.
Understand. Any other questions by members of the commission on a course or any other course? Staff,
Just
any
one quick question.
questions? Oh, I'm sorry,
just
Norris,
one
go
quick-
ahead.
Mr. Chairman, one quick question. Hey, Jen, you're running it this year, right? You're the president of the Assessors Association, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so, all right. I was just wondering because I remember Mr. Chairman, when we went down there all those years ago with Shauna.
Yep.
So, like I said, whatever it was back then, just use it. We can't use the same numbers as we used, whatever you're going to give them, whether the 6 hours here, the 6 hours there. Can we do what we've been doing for years, I guess? I was just
Yeah, we're
wondering.
pretty much mirroring that right now, Norris.
That's what I thought, right? Okay.
Yep. Mhm.
All right.
Great. Any other comments? General public? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept it as amended?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Norris. Hang on, I gotta get my crayon out here. A second?
Second,
Was that Maria?
yes.
Very good. Thank you. Maria on a second. Comments? Hearing none. Ayes,
Aye.
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 nays,
Aye.
abstentions? Okay, then we've taken care of that. Okay. Since I see on here both Vicky and Paul on legal, let's take care of legal because Paul's probably got a crazy schedule, I would surmise, and trying to be cognizant of that. So, folks, the floor is yours under the legal aspect and so forth as presented here on the agenda.
Sure. So thanks for having me today. My name is Paul Grabowski. I am the legal program director. Appraisal is one of the areas that I oversee, including many others. So I did take a look at the minutes from last time, and I talked to Vicky and Deb and Jason as well. I'd like to provide a little clarification on the questions that came up and why some of these things have changed. And I apologize that this perhaps has not been adequately explained in previous meetings, or perhaps not enough consulting has gone on either. But I think hopefully after today, you'll see that what we're doing is really trying to shore up our process to make sure we are compliant with the law, that we are affording people due process, and we're clarifying what the different pathways are for folks. So kind of start with why some of these, I'll start with the renewal process in the AVC process and why that was changed from what was last year, and what triggered that. So the main issue that popped up last year that we saw from the legal standpoint was when looking at the AVC letter that goes out, people had the option to accept the AVC and then come before the commission for a hearing to get that AVC waived. That, is not a very sound process. Once an AVC is accepted as a settlement, it should be final. If somebody wants a waiver, that should be a separate process. And that is something we are going to make sure does exist, that there is a separate waiver process. But the AVC itself shouldn't be something that is then waived. For a couple reasons. One, the department then does have to reimburse people their money, which isn't an easy process. Two, that is a binding agreement that they have entered into. They have entered into that AVC. It has been agreed to. If they didn't want to, they should not have entered into it. It should not be confused with a waiver process. Those two things should be separate and distinct. And this really came to a head when we saw, when we were writing the decisions, and I had to review the decisions from the commission when it came to the authority to grant a refund, to affirm an AVC even in those instances. It really didn't make legal sense when you sit down and put it on paper. Yes, we got through that, but going forward, that process needed to change so that the AVCs weren't something that could then be waived. So that's one issue there. And so going forward, the AVCs, those should be final. If someone agrees to an AVC in a settlement because they did their CE late, that should not be something that they can contest. If somebody hasn't accepted the AVC, and say, so if they haven't accepted the AVC, the process then is one of for a due process, from a due process standpoint, their rights, because they have committed a violation, we would need to do a compliance meeting procedurally, and then a hearing. And it needs to be clear what that hearing is for. They need to have a hearing notice. And then at that point, if that comes before the commission, and the commission says, well, we don't think that you owe a penalty. We don't want to penalize you. That's fine. That can happen. But otherwise, if we are going to then penalize them, they need to have a hearing, and it needs to be clear what that hearing is for. And as I was looking at all the documents from last year and in this AVC process and hearing process, it wasn't clear to me that everybody went through what they needed for due process and notification procedures. So, which brings me to a third point on this, the waiver, right? The waiver process. So this came up this year looking at the statute for appraisers and also the regulations. And this is something that we are drafting right now and hope to have done. The statute authorizes the commission and the department to issue regulations for a hardship waiver. Those regulations never got codified. There are no regulations for a hardship waiver. So what does that mean? That means it's not a legal process issuing the hardships from the board. And going forward, doing hardships in that way, is technically, it's not legally sound. It's not something that's advisable to do because there is no process for it. What happens when there's not a regulation or a statute for something like that is that you are legally susceptible because someone could say that you are arbitrarily making these decisions. A good regulation, which again, we will consult with you on once we have a couple draft options, so that everyone's comfortable with what that process looks like. It should be clear when you apply for a hardship. It should be clear what the commission is going to consider, right? In other areas, it's clear that a financial hardship is not something that the commission will consider. It's really a health hardship. So it needs to be clear so that it's not arbitrary, that the commission's not making arbitrary decisions. So that's what we're working on now so that there is a clear waiver process in the regulations, so that, again, the department, the commission are not subject to a potential lawsuit for arbitrary decisions on the hardship side of things. So that is one thing that we are working on, hope to have soon. And again, nothing's going to get submitted in the regulatory process without first consulting with the commission to make sure folks are okay with it and we can get some feedback and fine tune what that process looks like. And then the other thing that I saw in the minutes is kind of a general discussion about the investigation process, what formal discipline is, in our settlements, and a little bit about the board's role in investigations. So the board plays a somewhat limited role in investigations because of the board's statutory role as the finder of fact, the hearing officer in these complaints that come before you. You have to be impartial. Anytime we are bringing an action, due process requires that there is an impartial hearing body, right? And that is the commission. If you have prior knowledge about the investigation, you really are no longer impartial in that process. And that, again, would be if there was a decision issued and the commission had prior knowledge and was potentially prejudiced, then that is not a legally sound decision. That is subject to appeal and overturn. So we don't want to be doing that. Now, there is a role for the commission in the investigative process, and that is typically as a step down. When we need the expertise of a commissioner, somebody from the industry who knows what's going on, we would ask for somebody to step down, which means if that does go to hearing, you are not going to be part of that hearing, but you are potentially going to be a witness. You're going to be an you're going to help investigations figure out where the violations are, what we should be requesting, potentially helping us review documents. So that is a role for the commission in the investigations process. And again, that firewall is there to ensure due process for the individual respondent that would be coming before the commission. Now, I know there's some concern about what is, formal discipline. That's important to kind of pin down. So generally speaking, this isn't always the case, but in many of our settlements, they are not formal discipline. That does not mean, however, that a settlement cannot be formal discipline. And in some instances, they should be because the respondent has crossed the line where they should be disciplined. And I think that it is probably a healthy discussion to have with the commission or members of the commission off of a meeting, so we can get a better idea of what instances you do think cross that line. We're happy to consult on that. I think for purposes of comfort for everyone here, we should talk about what instances should require formal discipline in a settlement agreement. But typically formal discipline is done at a hearing, but it certainly can be if the respondent agrees that the settlement is formal discipline, then it can be. So we're not opposed to that. So I think that can be an ongoing discussion that we can have with the commission, instances where that is appropriate. So I think those were the main points I saw in the meeting minute notes. Happy to talk more about any of them, answer some questions. And I know we got Vicky, Jason, and Deb on here too, so we can kind of go through that. But that was what I saw as the big issues that came up in the last meeting.
Thank you. Members of the commission, does anyone have any questions?
One quick question, Mr. Grabowski, correct?
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Norris Hawkins, a quick question. It has to do what you were talking about, whether you want to do fines or other situations in this whole thing. Would you want to do it through the Connecticut State statutes? Would you want to do it through the Regs Review Board? How would you be looking at this? Because, like I said, there's always been a certain way of doing this, and it just seems like everything has gone. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. So, like I said, should we be putting this into law? Should we be putting it into law? Should we be putting it into a reg? That's a decision that has to be made either, I think, by the commission, remember something. Should the commission members remember our lawyers are the Attorney General's office. So should we be speaking to also the Attorney General's office about some of this stuff?
So yeah, I think you can talk to the Attorney General's office to make sure whenever you have a decision or if you're reviewing a matter, I think it is appropriate if there are questions to talk to the Attorney General's office. When it comes to the fines, and I think we're talking about fines for late CE, right?
Yes.
For the most part here. In other areas, there have been statutory adjustments. So in real estate, for example, and a few others, architects, that clearly define what the penalties are when somebody is late with their CE. That has really streamlined things.
You just used the term clearly defined.
Correct.
Does it come to a point where now we have to? Okay, there's one where someone says 400, or should we be charging someone 400, a $400 fine, a $1,200 fine, or
so the way
do we have to do a comprehensive thing to look at all this over again? And should we be doing this through the Attorney General? Our own, remember, they're our lawyers. They're the commission members' lawyers. And we don't even have one right now to call up.
Yeah, there is an interim. So Rosemary Weber has become a judge, but there is an interim contact at the Attorney General's office. Let me.
Thank you. At least now we know we got an interim contact. Okay.
Yeah. So there's like an interim director of that group. I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, his name is Drew Graham. So that's it. The email address would be drew.graham, which is GRAHAM @ct.gov, and he is the interim director of that group. So you can certainly email for advice there. No, so I would say if that's a route that the commission wants to explore as far as a similar process for defined penalties, and the way it works in a lot of our other areas is if you're 1 to 2 months late on your CE, but you've completed it, the penalty would be a certain amount. If you're 2 to 4 months, then the penalty would be another amount. And we can send you some examples of that. But that can be a discussion that we have with our that we could send a designee from the commission, talk to our legislative liaison, CJ Strand, to work on some draft language that could be potentially in our legislative package. So that's something that we can work on together. That's something that you can work on with the department. And I'm happy to share some examples of what that looks like in other areas so you can see kind of clearly what that structure is. And I think it does, at least from the department's perspective, it does help. It is clear. It's helpful administratively, for sure.
Okay. Commissioner Moore, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Grabowski, thank you.
Of course.
Yes, Mr. Grabowski, thank you for coming in today and helping us get some clarification on things. I think one thing that might not have come across in the minutes, but that we did discuss and remains an issue is what happens to someone in terms of our reporting an issue to the ASC. And it seemed Jason sort of explained this in terms of, let's say, in a settlement letter. Well, let's say there's a significant fine levied, and there's also appraisal coursework that we require the person take. So clearly there's a significant violation here. But it seemed that if in the letter they received, the settlement letter, there's a piece in there that says they don't admit guilt, that's what reporting hinges on, not the fact that they committed this significant violation and they're being very penalized. Can you clarify that distinction and tell us why a person in that situation wouldn't be reported to the ASC?
So if it is a serious violation like that, I think it would be appropriate to remove that language from a settlement agreement. Again, the settlement agreement can include whatever terms you want to have in it, and I would substitute it with terms that indicate it is going to be disciplinary and reportable to the ASC. And I think if there is a question as whether or not that's appropriate and we're in that situation, I think it might be appropriate to ask for a step down from the commission to say, hey, we want to consult with you on this. Do you think this crosses the line to say this should include discipline? So I know there have been instances perhaps where that hasn't been done, and maybe that should probably be what we do going forward is if it is significant, we'll ask ask for a step down from the commission and see how we want to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you, Paul, for coming in. So, and following up with what Bob just said, I think we trust the residential investigations to both Jeff and Debbie because they have that experience. But on the commercial side, I don't think there's the experience there to, by the time they make a decision, people are making decisions above Debbie and Jeff, it seems like, and things are kind of, my concern is that things are going to slide through the crack. And this is just based on rumors that people keep calling me up and asking me questions and stuff like that. Or when I'm teaching a class, the law module, people will be asking questions and stuff like that. So my concern is years ago, Jerry mentioned in the last meeting that we used to have one of the members just kind of step down who was commercial, and it would be rotated, I guess, to make it fair, when there was a commercial issue. And I think that should go back to that because it just seems like it's taken away our teeth. And that's what the whole purpose of the commission was set up on a federal level to uphold public trust in the appraisal process. It's in the preamble of USPAP. And by taking that away from us and these things slipping through and people making decisions, that aren't professionals in the commercial side, it's not fair. It's not upholding public trust. So I really think that we need to keep moving forward and have these discussions and try to figure out a way to get more of us, if we need to add more people to this commission, so be it. But I think that needs to be done. That's not happening. And it's just, it's a real issue. The other issue that I wanted to bring up was on the, and you mentioned on the fine thing, so we don't have to go there. We're still going to have that discussion. And I think what Nora said was great. But is the change on uploading the continuing education when you renew your license? We worked really hard to get it to where it was last year, the year cycle before, so that when an appraiser renews, they had to upload their actual certificates, which made it easier for you guys to do an audit, but also forced everybody to have those certificates done and not slip through the crack. 1 year before COVID, we actually had somebody come in and and I think they only got fined $400, was it, Jerry, or something? And they never took a class. They said they took classes, they put the classes in, but they never took a class. And the whole idea was we worked really hard to get to this, and that just seemed to be, without even discussing it with us, it was changed overnight. And you know, I had people call me, do I have to upload my classes? Do I not have to? And that, it just was a lot of confusion. Now, I know there's confusion over the bias class. That's a separate issue. And I know there's people who took the wrong bias class. I've heard that. And personally, I don't know if those people should be fined, because I don't know if all the law modules were actually clarifying what the new, what was the right bias class to take, because New York had one that was already out there. The Appraisal Institute and others had something that was out there before. So I don't think that should be fine. But this is a separate issue. I'm focusing on the uploading the experience credits. And I know it doesn't have to be a decision made today, but I really think that's a separate issue that should be discussed. Is there some sort of legal reason why we had to change that?
No, so from my perspective, there's no legal reason. It was an operational decision, right? So that can be an ongoing, that can be a discussion, but it was not necessarily a legal decision. Legally, it's fine to do it either way.
Yeah, so that's the thing, Paul. It's like these decisions are being made without us, and it's like, you know, there's a reason why we have these things. We're all volunteers here, and you know, Jerry's been doing this for 20 years. I've been on here 12 years. We commit this time monthly, and it's you know, it can be anything from 10 to 20 hours a week, a month. Sometimes it's only just maybe 5 or 6, but it's our time, and we get paid by what we produce. So when we work hard to do something, it's because we care about the industry. It's for the industry. And then when something automatically gets changed and decisions are made behind the scenes without consulting us, it's a slap in the face. Enough said.
No, yeah, I hear you. And I think better open communication on those things is certainly something we can work on going forward to make sure the voices are heard. Like I said, with regulations and everything else, I think we need to make sure we're having these discussions and we're on the same page with these things. So I appreciate the perspective. Thank you.
Maria or Jen, do you have any questions on this matter or this umbrella, so to speak? No? Okay. No? Okay. As this will be ongoing, and I am going to hold my comments while I digest what I've just listened to the last 12, 15 minutes, and probably will have a lot to say at next month's meeting. And I will leave it accordingly at that. Okay?
Okay.
Is there anything to be added by anyone else? I'm sorry.
Just feel free to reach out to me anytime too with questions or to touch base on any of this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you showing up and you know, explaining things. It is truly appreciative. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think what we have been discussing here, which is very positive on all aspects, ties into our old business. Unless I'm in error by members of the commission or members of staff or members of the general public. Am I on the same page? Okay, and I would like this to continue, that line item, continuing discussion about the Real Estate Appraisal Commission authorities and so forth for old business for our June meeting, if we could. And if I do recall correctly, we do meet in person in June. Am I in error on that, or am I correct? Debbie, you're a great mime. I guess you're on mute, you know, so.
Sorry, I keep myself on mute so I don't interrupt. Yes, you are correct. It's in person next month.
All right, great. I don't want to soft pedal. I don't want to get off the old business. Is there anything else on that old business component we want to talk now, or we hold it till next month?
Well, Jerry,
Go ahead, John.
I just wondering if it would be easier if we kind of break out a couple of these things in bullet format for the agenda for next month, so that we're, you know, we separate them instead of commingling them. You know, the issue of uploading is a separate issue all by itself. You know, fines and waivers, I think, is an issue by itself, and then the ongoing investigations, and then, you know, the reporting, you know, they can be commingled a little bit, but I think we need to make a bullet point so we all know what we're talking about.
Okay,
Our focus
I'll
is-
make a suggestion then for members of the commission. If within a week from this Friday, okay, so 10 days or thereabouts, if you can send to me your bullets, so Jen may have 6, Bob may have 4, Maria 3, John, you 8. I'll put them together, then send them to Debbie to be put up, whatever the numbers are. Do you know what I'm saying? And therefore, we have them all laid out, and then the staff can put it into the agenda that way. Does that work for people? I do not want anybody to feel they don't have a say in or a thought on it here. So will a week from Friday getting it to me, will that give everyone sufficient time, members of the commission? Is that okay? I guess okay.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Definitely.
yes.
And
Yeah, and if you
therefore
want to
I'll
summarize them, that's your
Yep, that's
discretion.
what I will do, and then I will send those to uh, Debbie. I guess it goes to you, correct? And
Yes,
therefore,
yes.
it will make it into our agenda, so everyone can see it when it gets out a week before that, before we meet, and therefore gives everyone time that Jen may have something that Bob never thought of, in one of her suggestions, or Bob, something John you didn't think of, vice versa, Maria and I. So we are all on we see what's going on, and therefore when we come in, we've had time to formulate things. I think Paul being here today was wonderful, and but it made me just I took a few notes down. Just I wanted to think about it before try to put my brain in gear before my mouth in motion. So yes, Bob.
So that, Jerry, that's by the 22nd, that
Is that
Friday.
what it is? Whatever a week from this Friday is?
I
Yes.
think that's okay.
Yes.
And you want them sent to you or to Deb?
Yes, please. I'll formulate them as
Okay.
coming from the commission, and therefore I'll send them to, Debbie and the staff. They're just so overwhelmed with so many other things. I'm just going to try to take a little bit of that burden off. There it is, one email there. It's all laid out. They can adjust, put in different order, whatever the staff and so forth think it's appropriate. That's there.
Okay.
That's what I trust them, that thing. But instead of, oh, John sent something, Bob's and Jerry, it can kind of be overwhelming. I think I put it in, but maybe I didn't. This way, if anything gets goofed up, we can blame Jerry. Okay. It's a very easy way to do it. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So I think we've covered the old business. I think we're okay with that. That being the case.
The only thing I wanted to say is, if I may, is just to reiterate that the department did ask if there were any questions. So within this formulation of the different categories, if you have questions relative to those categories, please put the questions in writing as well. So that will give us time to, answer and get sufficient answers for you. Thank you.
That's very fair. So you're not going like I am right now. I'm thinking over what was just said here, 20 minutes ago. So fair enough. And you've heard that. So go ahead. The bullet points, if you have questions, we'll just forward them all. I'll do it, put it together, and then send it over. And then it's all there so everyone can, be prepared and we're all working together. So sounds like a plan. Okay. New business. It's blank, but was there anything that came up in the last week from when the agenda was sent to what we have here that needs to come up or be addressed?
What's the status? Maybe we can hear from the staff. What's the status on getting us some more help? Getting anybody who's submitted or anything through the process to get another appraiser on the commission?
Yes. I sent in a resume of an individual up to the governor's office of a real estate certified residential real estate appraiser. But after it was forwarded, I haven't heard anything else. I'm really hoping for because we have, we have 2 positions open. I'm really hoping that a certified general will apply we really need a certified general. And based on, what Jerry had brought up, that if I meant to ask one of the two certified generals to step down, I mean, that kind of leaves us in a position where, we need a full commission to address these problems, or not problems, but these concerns as they come up. So it would be helpful if a certified general would graciously apply to be on the commission. But
So I got,
yeah, so to answer your question, John, in a short form,
okay, so I
we
got
do
two
have one.
questions. I know there's been other people who have submitted too and have never heard. Is it possible to get a list and find out how, you get the list, not disclosed to us, to find out and maybe shake that tree a
Unless
little
they
bit?
come through me, I have no idea. If they go outside to other people to submit their applications, that's one thing. I have no way of knowing who applied. If they send a letter of interest and their resume to me, then I know who's applying. I know who to send it to. So that's the
So,
only
so is it
that's
okay
the
for
only,
us to go out and, I hate to use this word, solicit a couple of people and have them send their resumes?
well,
Is
I
that
would think,
appropriate?
yes, because whether you solicit somebody or not, um, doesn't make a difference on who the governor chooses. It's the governor's decision on who they find appropriate for the position. So yes, definitely. If you find somebody who is interested, please let me know. Absolutely.
And the next question I have is one I've been thinking about for a long time since we have a little time, is what if there was a case or whatever, and both Jerry and I had to recuse ourselves, so we couldn't be involved. Can we go to another state and ask them to review it? Is there any kind of anything up in the federal level that allows that?
I was looking that up because that's been my concern the whole time. The what ifs, right? Um, and I do believe I read on the Appraisal Foundation's website. I can send that to you for verification, but I do believe I read that they could step in and basically sit in your place to review the situation. So I'm not as a board, but uh,
As an
to
individual?
review, yes, as an individual. Um, I'll
So
have
we
to
have some
look that up.
options.
Yeah, because I've been nervous about that the whole time because as you know, I'm a residential appraiser. We have another residential appraiser here, Jeff Mosier. Um, so for that part of that side of it, we're qualified to do that. For the commercial side, I'm very nervous, and I have asked you, John, to step down in certain instances to review. But then that leaves us light on on the commission side. So I've been researching that whole avenue to see, how we can have a complete commission and still have somebody qualified for the commercial side to review any of the problems. So yeah, no, we're on it as best we
Okay,
can.
thank you.
Bob, you
Thank you,
had your
Chair.
hand up. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Yes. Gotta plead ignorance here as a relative newbie on the commission, but how does this process even work? How does someone even know to submit interest for this position? Is it advertised anywhere? Is it just word of mouth? Can someone explain how this works?
From my position, um, I've just seen that people will, and believe me, it's not very many people have reached out to me. Hey, how do I go about applying for the commission. And then I tell them it is, send me a letter of interest and your resume, a detailed letter of interest and your resume, and I will make sure that it is forwarded to the proper person to put it on the governor's desk. But from what I know, I've been here it'll be 4 years in September. I have never seen an advertisement to join the commission in my time here. I don't know if there is one, and perhaps I don't know about it.
It
Hey, Debbie.
seems like,
Hey,
seems
Deb,
like
Yes.
hey,
they're-
Deb,
Yes,
Go ahead,
Norris.
Norris.
excuse me. Hey, Bob, Debbie.
Yeah, go ahead,
Years
Norris.
ago, I used to work for a governor, and usually how the governor's office is set up is they will have an appointment. It's either called an appointment secretary or an appointments clerk, and usually somebody comes to somebody and says, "Hey, can I get an appointment to this? Can I get an appointment to that?" And we usually look at if there needs to be an appointment to a commission, then there will be for some cases there will be state police background checks for some of these appointments, and for something like this, like I said, whether you refer to Debbie, you may have a state rep has a constituent who might want to be on a board. He knows them very well, and he may call up the governor's office and say, "Hey, is there an appointment to the real estate appraisal board? Can you look at this person?" That's how it's done most of the time. It's word of mouth. It's really isn't. There's no like thing out there and you put it out there. It's never going to be like that.
But it
We
seems
do
like
mention
It's
our-
never
we
been like that.
Seems
Thank
like
you,
we ought to
Norris.
have a more formal and more effective, efficient
It's never.
process.
Remember, hey Bob,
Yeah,
it's a governor's appointment. They don't do it like that, and it's never going to be like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can get
You-
removed
you-
anytime.
that's
Yeah,
why the
remember, he can
positions
tell-
that's
you
why
still
the
got the
positions
pleasure-
remain open for so long, because it's just by chance. It seems so silly.
Yeah, but I also see you have to remember they do it by with this commission. They do it by congressional appointments. I mean, congressional districts.
Right.
So
right.
that's a little bit tough when you really want to find somebody. Like I said, and it all depends on that office. Remember when I worked for a guy mine was years and years ago. That's 30 plus years ago. Bill O'Neill. We got on it quickly. We wanted to put these people, as long as they were good people, and we found, and as long as it served, we were on everything. Remember we how do I say this? We had a good certain influence over the agencies. So it all depends on that office. This isn't you're going to put it out and say, "Hey, does somebody want to be full?" Remember, it's a volunteer position. Not many people want to do anything for volunteer.
Yeah, and I know when we teach the law module, I know me and I know a couple others who teach it. When we get to that section talking about the commission, we always throw out there that, if you want to be on the commission,
That's
what
right.
to do.
Oh yeah.
So we
Yeah.
do that.
Just tell I tell people all the time. People walk up, they know I'm on it, and people walk up to me and I say, call the governor's office and ask for the appointments. Ask for the appointments person and speak to them about it.
Anyone
Let
that
me
I've
just add to
spoken
this.
to, sorry, Jerry, anyone that I've spoken to who is an appraiser, especially, a general appraiser, I've suggested, if they're interested, I've just offered that. If you're interested, please call the governor's office.
Yeah. There's an appointments person there. There's an appointments person in the governor's office that just deals with appointments because to how many boards and commissions a year and how many that the legislature whether it's appointments to a commission, not just that, but to like task forces and everything, just to be able to find people. Like I say to people all the time, call the governor's office. Because like I said, it's not out there. There's no, hey Bob, there's no thing that says, okay, we have this, and next thing you know, there's going to be 50 people. Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's pretty much word of mouth. I couldn't tell. Remember, it's different for me. I'll give you my explanation how I got it. I just happen to know the chief of staff of one of the governors, and he said, "Hey Norris, would you be interested as a public member?" And they said, "Well, what board?" You know what they said? What would you be interested in this board? And I said, "Wow, this is pretty interesting. Let me look at it." Simple as easy as that. It was just it just happened to be I was sitting there. John will tell you the same thing. John, you wanted to be on the board for a while.
What happened to me was Chris called me, and
Yes.
I went to high school with Chris, and
Yeah.
I felt, being Irish, I felt very guilty when I got done with the call. So, and then out of the blue, I got a call I didn't do anything. I just got a call from Beth By, and then I got my rep showed up at my door.
She was the state rep she was the state rep.
Yeah,
when
that's how it happened. So Chris was very
totally
instrumental.
Different. Yeah.
You know what? I for the next meeting, I'll see what we can do. Jerry and I, and as commercial, can look at the 5th district and 2nd district and see who's out there that we know of, and maybe I'll make some phone calls.
There's a formula that comes into place, folks.
Yeah.
And that is, and there are statutes in place, not only how many can be per congressional district, but also how many are party affiliations. There are tiers in place. So it's, we'll just, it is what it is. And when we teach the classes, we bring it open to folks. And you're on a slippery slope if you're a sitting commission member and it looks like you're trying to make it an old boys old club or old girls old club, that type of thing. So you got to keep it open to every and all, so it is equitable. So enough on that. Okay, anything else under new business? Okay, staff, anything to add that we want to go over? Okay, any comments or concerns by any persons before us today? Mr. DiBiasio, your hand is up. There you are. The floor is yours. Good morning and happy May.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Happy May to you. Good morning, Commission members. Just real quick, I wanted to make a suggestion to you as it relates to the review process for appraisals that come in as part of complaints. And this is something that many other states do, but I just wanted to suggest that you have sort of a panel of appraisers, outside appraisers, that can be hired on an independent contractor basis to review those appraisals that come in as part of complaints. I'm not sure if the statute and the regulations would allow for that. I realize it probably would be a resource issue, but that is something that other states have done, and it does provide a degree of independence to the review process for those complaints. Just wanted to put that out there by way of a suggestion. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from members of staff, general public, commission members to discuss? Hearing none. Well, we have in the Northeast and New England in another week with the unofficial kickoff to the summer season. I'm trying to convince myself that some mornings when we're still in the 40s, but with Memorial Day. So to you and yours, wishing nothing but a happy and a safe one. And we will see each other next month. Yes?
Excuse me. Hi. I was following the agenda under old business. I do have something to add under staff, under that banner. I just wanted to give an update on our on the renewals and the CE audit that's going on. For renewals, we're down. We have 1,056 combined provisional, certified residential, certified general, 1,056 that have renewed. There may be a couple of stragglers that are coming up, for late renewals, but as of May 1st, that was the number. So we're down significantly. Because we do the audit and we have 3 months to complete our audit per the ASC policy statements, I started a pre-audit with the people that were early renewals. And in my pre-audit, I found that, and these were people that self-reported, that they completed their CE late. I have approximately 110 people that were fined for completing their CE late. Since we started the audit it was just, I think this week that we sent out the DocuSigns for them to complete. There were 94 people that were audited. So far, I don't have all 94 back, but so far of those that were audited, of the 94, I haven't had anybody who completed CE late at all. And there's been some confusion because we sent out, because appraisers are busy appraising. They're not busy paying attention to things that they have to do until the last minute. And we sent out reminder notices to everyone 4 times last year that this audit is coming, well, not the audit, but your CE is due on January 31st. We sent it out 4 times beginning in January. And there was just a lot of confusion. And I have to say, primarily what I'm seeing is the people who are reciprocal appraisers, they're the ones primarily that are late with their CE. And it has to do with the valuation bias and fair housing course, which I was very concerned about, like all this past year, because especially in New York, they have a fair housing and bias course. And a lot of the appraisers who ended up not taking the valuation bias and fair housing laws and regulations course, the mandated one, they thought they took the right one, and it had to do with that course in New York, the fair housing and bias. So yeah, that was a problem. That was a problem. But that's my update on the audit so far. It's not done yet. The audit goes to next month, I believe on about the 21st of next month. It might be a little bit sooner, but I believe that that's the cutoff date. I'll
Thank
have more
you.
next month when we meet.
Okay, thank you. Any
Hi,
questions for
Jackie.
Debbie?
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
Jackie. Yes, Ms. Boshane.
Just a comment or a suggestion. Would it be possible to put something on the state website that there is an audit taking place? Because I have received some inquiries, folks getting something from a DocuWare do not reply type thing has been alarming. They're thinking it's a phishing. So is there a way to just help let appraisers know that that is happening?
Sure, I'll ask Jason, perhaps maybe something can put on. But I have to tell you, I was unaware. I've been getting calls and calls and calls and emails about that very same thing, about the, do not reply. And it's not even a standard do not reply like when our licenses go out, because that's a do not reply. This looks entirely different. It does look like a phishing, so I don't know if it's possible for the next time around, where we can just add our dcp.realestateappraisal address to the DocuSign. I'm not sure if that's possible or not, but it's been noted to discuss it for the next time around.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. DiBiaseo, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to double dip here. But I just wanted to add to Debbie's comment about the confusion regarding the valuation bias and fair housing course, and appraisers thinking that the course that they took in New York would satisfy the Connecticut requirement. So New York has now aligned their regulations and the content of the valuation bias and fair housing course to match the AQB's requirement. And they also aligned the number of hours, meaning the 8 hours for QE, 7 hours for first time existing licensees, and then 4 hours. So while you have that confusion this cycle, you won't have that confusion going forward, because somebody that takes a class in New York, that course would be exactly the same as one that would be offered in Connecticut. So I just wanted to add that quick commentary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hawkins, I know you've been polite. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I just one quick question. Did we vote on the schools yet? I don't remember us actually doing a vote for the schools.
The classes?
And everything, all the schools. Did we do that?
Yes, we did.
Oh God, I must have been.
We had,
I think we
you
only
made the
voted
motion,
on-
Maria made the
Oh, I
adjustment,
thought
and
we
then
only
we,
did. No, I thought we only voted on just
think-
this one thing.
Just
I think we
one.
only
We
voted
didn't,
on the assessor school.
you're
Yeah, that's it.
correct
I-
about that.
if we go back and we'll listen, it was said with a revised component. Okay, we can do it again, but it
Oh, I'm
was
sorry.
with
I
the
just wanted to
revision
be
in
sure.
place.
Oh, okay.
Excuse
I'm
me?
sorry. I'm sorry. I just thought we were just voting for UConn.
If you want to make another motion, go ahead.
No, if you think we've done it all, that's fine with me.
Okay. Or if anyone
Yeah.
thinks we haven't, feel free.
Can we
Okay.
do it again just for safety? Just for clarification?
It was a little confusing.
I make a motion that we accept all the courses as stated, and except for the assessors, Yukon assessors, because we already voted on that one.
I'll second that.
I'll second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen, okay. Ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
nays, abstentions? Okay. Anything else come before us? I have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
Second.
ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
We'll see you in
meeting adjourned.
person.
Everyone have a
next month.
good month of May.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, see you guys
too.
soon.
Bye.
Be well.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well,